Welcome back to the deep dive. I gotta say, YouTube's policies can really feel like a maze sometimes,
Totally agree.
especially for creators,
Yeah.
trying to navigate things like working with minors,
Right.
using AI, or just figuring out how to actually make money.
Yeah.
Today, we're going deeper than just those quick glances at the help documents, really trying to untangle what's going on and what it means for creators.
Absolutely. And you know what's really interesting is just how in-depth these YouTube policies actually are.
Right.
It goes way beyond like checking off boxes. They're tackling like really complicated stuff.
Yeah.
When you think about child protection, making sure content is real, and like the whole ethics of AI is fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're diving into today.
Let's do it.
Let's jump right in with something that might surprise people, featuring kids in videos.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that depending on where you are, you might actually need work permits for those minors?
It's true. And it really shows how YouTube is trying to actually line up with those child labor laws that are already out there.
Okay.
The whole idea is to keep minors safe from exploitation,
Yeah.
even if it's totally unintentional.
That makes sense. It's a good point.
Yeah.
But then it makes you wonder, like, if a video with a minor is making money, does the creator have to share some of that with the kid?
You know, in a lot of cases, yes.
Oh, wow.
YouTube has these guidelines about making sure young creators get paid fairly.
Okay.
And it's not just about the money.
Right.
There are rules about how long they can work,
Okay.
what kind of environment they're in,
Yeah.
just making sure they're okay through the whole thing.
So it's a lot more than just getting a parent to say, yeah, it's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these guidelines are like super strict for that YouTube Kids app.
Right.
It's almost like they've made this protected zone
Okay.
where anything aimed at young viewers,
Yeah.
even if it's just like a commercial,
Yeah.
gets looked at really carefully to see if it's actually appropriate and not trying to take advantage of them.
It sounds like they're really trying to walk this fine line
They are.
between letting people be creative and also making sure young viewers are safe.
It's a tough balance, and especially as technology changes all the time.
Yeah.
Like a perfect example is that new captured with a camera thing you see now.
Yeah, I've seen that popping up. What does that even mean?
Think of it like this. It's a way for creators to prove their content is the real deal,
Okay.
not some altered version.
Okay.
YouTube uses this tech called C2PA. It's like a digital fingerprint for videos.
Interesting.
So if the footage has been messed with in certain ways, it won't get that captured with a camera label.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not just about being open with viewers.
Right.
It's about establishing trust.
Exactly.
And it's getting harder to tell what's real and what's not.
Precisely. And this becomes even more important now with deepfakes
Oh, yeah.
and all this AI-generated stuff.
So what kind of edits would make a video lose that label?
Anything that breaks that digital fingerprint.
Okay.
Let's say you filmed a C2PA video, but then download it to your phone
Right.
and re-upload it, where that break in the chain
Yeah.
means it's not verified anymore.
Interesting. So even like little edits could have big consequences.
They could. What about those changes that actually alter the content?
Right. Right.
Like those deepfakes.
Yeah.
Those are a definite no-go.
Okay.
YouTube's drawing a line saying if you're using AI to like swap faces or put people into historical events
Right.
or really change reality, you got to be upfront about it.
Okay. And that's not just about ethics, right? There are legal things to think about too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This captured with a camera thing is part of this bigger push
Yeah.
to make sure that what's on YouTube is authentic and you can trust it.
Makes sense.
It's about protecting viewers from being tricked or manipulated.
So creators need to realize that there could be serious consequences if they say their content is real when it's not.
Exactly. And it's not just about taking down the content.
Right.
It could affect whether they can make money from it
Okay.
and even lead to their account being suspended.
Okay, yeah. So let's shift gears a little and talk AI.
Okay.
You mentioned YouTube has policies about using it.
Yeah.
What's the current situation?
Well, YouTube is saying creators have to tell people
Okay.
when they use AI to make or change content in a way that could be misleading.
Okay.
They're mainly focused on those realistic changes
Right.
that could fool viewers.
But how do they decide what's realistic?
That's a good question.
With AI getting better all the time, that line seems kind of blurry.
You're right. It's a moving target. But basically, they're saying if you're using AI to make someone look like they're saying or doing something they never did, or changing footage to misrepresent something that happened,
Okay.
you got to disclose that.
So like if you used AI to smooth out someone's wrinkles, that wouldn't need a disclosure.
Exactly. YouTube's not trying to control every little edit.
Right.
It's about those changes that could have real-world effects. if people think they're authentic.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do creators actually tell people they've used AI in their videos?
YouTube's made it pretty straightforward.
Okay.
There's this setting in YouTube Studio where creators can mark their content as altered.
Okay.
And for YouTube's own AI tools like DreamTrack and DreamScreen,
Yeah.
that disclosure happens automatically.
So they're building in those safeguards for their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But creators still need to be careful about disclosing when they're using other tools or services.
Exactly. And the consequences for not doing it are pretty serious.
Yeah.
Content can get taken down. It can affect whether you can make money.
Right.
And in some cases, your account can be suspended.
It's a high-stakes game.
It is.
And it really shows how seriously YouTube's taking this whole idea of transparency in the age of AI.
For sure. And it brings up this bigger question.
Okay.
What happens when content pushes the boundaries of what's considered okay,
Right.
even if it's got educational or artistic value?
Right.
That's where those EDSA exceptions come in.
EDSA.
What's that?
It stands for Educational, Documentary, Scientific, and Artistic.
Okay.
These exceptions are basically acknowledging that sometimes content that looks like it might be breaking YouTube's rules is actually allowed if it's presented in a specific way.
So you're saying context is key.
Absolutely. For instance, a documentary about war might have some really graphic violence in it.
Yeah.
But because it's presented within this historical and informative framework,
Mm-hmm.
it might be okay.
Okay, but it can't just be like a vague description or title. Right?
YouTube is very clear that the context needs to be woven into the video itself.
Okay.
You have to clearly state your purpose,
Okay.
provide actual background information, and
Yeah.
even present opposing viewpoints, if it makes sense.
So you can't just say, hey, this is educational, so it's fine.
Nope.
You have to actually show it.
Exactly. And that level of transparency helps viewers understand why that content is there.
Right.
Even if it's controversial or maybe even disturbing. It's like YouTube saying, we trust you to be responsible creators, but you got to show us you're taking that seriously.
That's a great way to put it. And that trust extends to the whole YouTube community.
Okay, let's talk about that, because we know YouTube relies a lot on its community to flag inappropriate content.
Totally. With millions of hours of videos uploaded every day, there's no way YouTube could catch everything on their own.
Right.
They need users to be their eyes and ears out there.
So what role does the community play in all of this?
It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Users can report stuff that breaks the community guidelines.
Right.
They can give feedback to YouTube.
Okay.
And they can even help educate each other about the platform's policies.
So it's a group effort to keep YouTube a safe and respectful place.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just like policing the content.
Right.
There are ways for users to protect themselves proactively too.
You're right. YouTube gives users all these tools to control their experience. Like parents can set up restricted mode to filter out stuff that might not be appropriate for kids.
Right.
It's not perfect,
Right.
but it adds an extra layer of protection.
Exactly. And users can control the comments on their videos too.
Okay.
They can hold comments for review, block certain words, or even
Ah.
turn off comments completely.
So it's recognizing that what's okay for one person might not be okay for someone else.
Exactly. And YouTube gets that. It's not about having one rule for what's acceptable for everyone.
Right.
It's about giving users the tools to choose their own experience.
It's almost like moving from just broadcasting things out to something more personal and interactive.
Yeah.
Users aren't just sitting there watching.
Right.
They're actively shaping their own online world.
That's a great way to think about it. And it's one of the most fascinating things about how YouTube has changed.
Yeah.
It's not just about watching videos anymore.
Right.
It's a dynamic place where users connect, create, and contribute to this constantly evolving community.
It's true. But with AI changing the creative landscape so quickly, how does this shift towards community responsibility play out when we're not always sure who or what is making the content we're watching?
Ooh, that is a really interesting question. Yeah, and that's where things get really tricky, especially for creators dealing with those topics that could be sensitive.
You're talking about those EDSA exceptions again, right?
Exactly. It's the perfect example of how YouTube tries to protect the community,
Right.
but also recognize that some types of content, even if they might get flagged at first, could actually have real value.
Yeah, so for someone listening who might be making a documentary about, say, a historical event with some tough scenes, how would these exceptions work?
It really comes down to showing that your content has a bigger purpose
Okay.
for a historical documentary.
Yeah.
It's super important to give factual context right there in the video.
Okay.
Who are the main people involved?
Right.
What led up to the event?
Okay.
You're basically setting the stage for viewers to understand the historical significance,
Yeah.
even if the footage is hard to watch.
So it's like you're addressing those potential red flags head on.
Exactly.
Saying, hey, this might be disturbing, but here's why it's important to understand.
Exactly. And it's more than just stating facts.
Okay.
You might want to include different opinions or criticisms, too.
Okay.
Did historians disagree about the causes?
Right.
Are there different ways to interpret what happened? Showing those different perspectives proves you're not just pushing one narrative.
So it's about recognizing that history is complicated.
It is.
And encouraging viewers to think critically about the information they're getting.
Right. And that's especially important when we're talking about things like hate speech or misinformation.
Yeah.
If you're including that kind of content in your video,
Right.
even for educational reasons, you absolutely have to condemn or refute those harmful ideas right there in the video.
So you're not just presenting it as a neutral fact, you're taking a stand and making your own position clear to the audience.
Exactly. You're giving that counter-narrative,
Yeah.
that critical lens
Right.
that helps viewers understand this sensitive information in a responsible way.
Right.
And it protects you, the creator,
Yeah.
from people saying that you're promoting those harmful ideas.
It's a subtle but important difference.
It is.
You're showing you don't agree with hate speech or misinformation.
Right.
You're using it as a way to teach and inform.
And that sense of responsibility,
Yeah.
that awareness of how your content might affect people, it's crucial for anyone making stuff on YouTube.
Which brings us back to the community.
Yeah.
We talked about it before, but can you say more about how that community aspect helps create a responsible online space?
You know, it's amazing how much power YouTube gives its users.
Yeah.
It's not just about reporting bad stuff. It's about actively shaping the culture of the platform.
Give me some examples. How does that actually work?
Well, we have those reporting tools,
Right.
which are essential for flagging content that breaks the rules. But users can also have real conversations, leave thoughtful comments, and hold creators accountable for what they put out there.
So it's more than just calling out bad behavior. It's about encouraging those positive interactions
Exactly.
and supporting creators who are doing things the right way.
YouTube gets that. They've got things like the Community Contributions tab, where viewers can help improve subtitles and captions.
Oh, cool.
And the Super Thanks feature,
Yeah.
so fans can directly support creators they love.
It's like a positive loop.
It is.
Users help the platform grow, and creators get rewarded for making content that their audience connects with.
Everyone wins, and it really shows how YouTube is trying to create this sense of shared ownership.
Yeah.
It's not just the platform making all the rules.
Right.
It's about letting users actively shape their online experience.
But what about when users feel like they need to protect themselves from certain content,
Okay,
even if it doesn't technically break any rules?
that's where those customization settings come in. YouTube has given users a ton of control over what they see and how they interact on the platform.
Can you give me some specific examples of how users can customize their experience?
Sure, parents can turn on restricted mode,
Okay.
which filters out content that might not be right for kids.
Right.
It's not foolproof, but it adds that extra layer of safety.
Yeah, and users can manage comments on their videos too.
Exactly. They can choose to review comments before they're posted, block certain words,
Right.
or even shut off comments entirely.
So it's recognizing that one size doesn't fit all.
Totally.
What one person finds okay might be upsetting or offensive to someone else.
Right, and YouTube understands that. It's not about having one strict rule for what's acceptable.
Yeah.
It's about giving users the tools to create their own experience.
It's like shifting from a broadcasting model to something more personal and interactive.
I like that.
Users aren't just passively receiving content. They're actively shaping their own online world.
That's a great way to put it. And it's one of the most fascinating things about how YouTube has changed.
Yeah.
It's not just a platform for watching videos anymore.
Right.
It's this dynamic space where people connect, create, and contribute to this always evolving community.
It's true. But with AI changing the creative landscape so rapidly,
Yeah.
how does this shift towards community responsibility work when we can't always be sure who or what is making the content we're watching?
That is a really interesting question, and I think it's something that YouTube is still figuring out.
Yeah.
We've talked about the need for transparency when creators use AI,
Right.
but as these technologies get more and more advanced,
Right.
that line is going to get harder to see.
Yeah, it is. And it brings up some pretty complex ethical questions.
For sure.
Like, what happens when AI can make content that's basically identical to something a human created.
Wow.
How do we ensure accountability when we don't even know for sure who or what is responsible for what we're watching?
It's almost like we're entering this whole new era of content creation.
Yeah.
Where the line between human and machine is getting blurrier and blurrier.
Exactly. And it's an era that's full of both like super exciting possibilities and potential problems.
Yeah.
On one hand, AI could make creating content available to everyone.
Right.
Give anyone with internet access the tools to make professional quality videos.
Right.
That's the kind of power AI has.
That's incredible. But like you said, there's another side to this.
There is.
What are some of the potential dangers we should be aware of?
The biggest worry is that AI could be used to manipulate or take advantage of people.
Yeah.
We're already seeing this with deepfakes,
Right.
which can make really believable videos of people saying or doing things they never actually did. As AI gets better and better,
Yeah.
it's going to be harder and harder to tell the difference between real and fake content.
Right.
And that has huge implications for trust and accountability.
So how do we handle this new reality?
That's the question. What can creators and viewers do to make sure AI is used responsibly on YouTube?
I think the most important thing is to know the risks.
Okay.
Don't just believe everything you see online.
Right.
Question where the information is coming from, and be skeptical of videos that seem too perfect.
That's good advice for life in general these days.
It is.
But what does that mean in terms of specific actions?
For creators, it's about being upfront about using AI.
Okay.
If you're using AI tools to make or change your content, tell your viewers.
Oh.
Don't try to pass off fake stuff as real.
So it's about keeping that authenticity.
Exactly.
And building trust with your audience, even as the tools for creating content get more complicated.
Exactly. And for viewers,
Yeah.
it's about being smart about the content they consume.
Okay.
Pay attention to the details. Look for things that don't add up.
Yeah.
And if something seems off, don't be afraid to report it to YouTube.
It sounds like we all have a part to play in making sure AI is used ethically and responsibly on YouTube.
Absolutely. This is a shared responsibility,
Yeah.
and it's going to take ongoing conversation, collaboration, and a willingness to adapt as technology keeps changing.
Yeah, it's a huge responsibility, honestly. It's kind of mind-blowing to think about what all this means.
It really is.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is this isn't just a YouTube thing.
Right.
This is like a big question for everyone.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out what it even means to be human
Yeah.
in a world where machines can act more and more like us.
That's a big one. And those questions are only going to get bigger as AI keeps getting better.
For sure.
So what do you think the future holds for YouTube?
It's tough to say for sure, but one thing's clear. YouTube isn't just for entertainment anymore.
Right.
It's this powerful tool for education, for communication, even for social change.
Yeah.
And AI could make that impact even bigger in good ways and maybe in bad ways too.
Can you give me some examples?
Sure.
Yeah.
On the good side, AI could be used to make personalized learning experiences,
Okay.
translate content into different languages, and make video editing easier for everyone.
Okay.
Imagine if anyone with a smartphone could make professional quality videos.
Yeah.
That's the kind of power AI has.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's that other side.
Yeah, there is.
What are some of the potential problems we should be watching out for?
I think the biggest worry is that AI could be used to manipulate or take advantage of people.
Yeah.
We already see this with deepfakes.
Right.
They can make really believable videos of people
Yeah.
saying or doing things they never actually did.
And as AI gets better, it'll be even harder to tell what's real and what's not.
Exactly. And that's a huge problem for trust and accountability.
So how do we deal with this new reality?
It's tough.
What can creators and viewers do to ensure that AI is used responsibly on YouTube?
Well, I think the most important thing is to know the risks.
Okay.
Don't just blindly accept everything you see online.
Yeah.
Think about where the information is coming from and be wary of videos that seem too perfect.
That's good advice for life in general.
It really is.
But how do we put that into action?
For creators, it means being open about using AI.
Okay.
If you're using AI tools to create or change your content, tell your viewers.
Okay.
Don't try to pass off AI-generated content as real.
So even as things get more complicated, we still need to be authentic and build that trust with our audience.
Exactly. And for viewers,
Yeah.
it means being smart about the content they're watching.
Okay.
Pay attention to the details, look for things that don't make sense,
Yeah.
and if something feels wrong, report it to YouTube.
It sounds like we all have a responsibility to ensure that AI is used ethically and responsibly on YouTube.
We definitely do. This isn't something one person or group can fix.
Right.
It's going to take all of us talking, working together, and being willing to adapt as technology changes.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap things up. This deep dive has been really eye-opening.
It has.
And honestly, a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
But in the end, I feel like I have more control knowing that we're not just along for the ride with this technology.
We can actually shape the future of online content.
We can.
And by working together, we can create a YouTube that's both innovative and responsible.
Couldn't agree more. It's a really exciting time to be a part of this changing world.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm optimistic that we can use AI for good while also being aware of the risks.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on this deep dive. It's been awesome exploring these complicated issues with you.
It's been great having you. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of YouTube policies.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Remember, knowledge is power. Stay informed, stay engaged, and let's create a better online future together.